Congressional Republicans yesterday unveiled a budget that would dramatically curb spending on a host of social welfare programs, including the federal government's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, better known as food stamps. The president's budget, released earlier this year, also included deep cuts to the program. To see how those proposals might play out, NewsHour special correspondent Kat Wise recently traveled to Arkansas, a state that voted heavily for Mr. Trump. This report is part of Chasing the Dream, our ongoing series on poverty and opportunity in America.
In the small town of Thornton, Arkansas, Joni Casey fires up her truck twice a month and drives to a Walmart about 30 miles away to stock up on fruits, vegetables, meat, milk, and other products donated by the company.
This box and this bag of meat.
When she returns to the local food pantry her family has run since the 1950s, some 200 residents are waiting, and a desperate rush begins.
We get paid every 2 weeks, and by the end of the week, it's like the cupboards are bare and we're ramen noodling.
And I got 2 kids at the house and stuff that's hungry that I have to feed.
Miss Casey, as she's known here, says the number of people she serves each month has nearly doubled in the past year and a half, from 350 to 650, even as the state's economy has improved.
We see no employment, no grocery stores, no gas stores. Mostly the families are generationally poor, and they can't move. They don't have the money to move or anywhere to go to move.
The day we visited, Brittany Williams came to Miss Casey's with her 2 young daughters. At mid-month, she's already run out of the $231 a month she receives in food stamps, or SNAP, the federal government's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program for the poor.
I'm out of food stamps within 2 weeks, and that's another 2 weeks, week and a half, 2 weeks, that I'm sitting here, well, how am I going to feed my kids? You know, what am I going to do next? Am I going to have to beg people for food or go to Miss Casey? Or what if Miss Casey don't come back to me in time and I run out?
Brittany's husband, Daryl, works full-time as a security guard at the local sawmill, making $11 an hour. He says the family's bills have been piling up for months and that they're now facing eviction.
I've got a truck payment outside. I've got all the utilities in here. After buying pull-ups and wipes for them included, I've got maybe $50 to $100 left a month. And that's got to go in for gas so I can get back and forth to work for the next 2 weeks.
To qualify for food stamps, a family of 4 in Arkansas must make less than $32,000 a year. Last year, 14% of the state's population was on SNAP, or about 426,000 people. That percentage mirrors the national picture. In 2016, 44 million Americans were on SNAP, receiving an average benefit of $126 per person per month, or about $1.40 a meal. For years, the program has been in the crosshairs of conservative lawmakers who say the government simply can't sustain a federal program that last year cost $71 billion, up from $33 billion in 2007, before the recession.
Instead of lifting people out of poverty, many of our welfare programs are actually trapping people in poverty.
Bruce Westerman is the Republican U.S. representative of the 4th District in Arkansas, which includes Thornton.
We have got to do something to get the debt under control. It's either do it the easy way now, which may not seem easy to some, or have the whole thing come crashing down and not be able to provide SNAP or Medicare or Medicaid or anything to anyone because we're in a financial crisis.
Mick Mulvaney is the Trump administration's director of the Office of Management and Budget.
We're no longer going to measure compassion by the number of programs or the number of people on those programs, but by the number of people we help get off of those programs.
In May, the White House presented its budget, which aimed to slash federal spending by $3.6 trillion over the next decade. If Congress were to pass that budget, SNAP would lose $193 billion, around a quarter of its funding. The plan calls for tightening standards on who qualifies for the program. And for the first time, the budget shifts a large chunk of the cost to states, starting with 10% in 2020 and rising to 25% in 2023. For Arkansas, that would mean $144 million added to its state budget each year.
I don't see where we would make up that $144 million.
You don't think the state can make that up?
I don't think the state can make that up.
Kathy Webb is a former state Democratic representative who now runs the Arkansas Hunger Relief Alliance, a nonprofit organization connecting and advocating for the state's food banks. She says private charities could not fill the gap.
We cannot make up the difference. And all of the Charitable Food Network put together is about a 20th of what the federal safety net is.
Webb also worries about the effect a SNAP cut would have on grocery stores in poor communities.
It takes everything to make it. There is no slack.
Randy Lindsay and his wife Janice run the Bottom Dollar store in Bearden, near Thornton. It's one of the few stores in the area selling fresh produce and meat, as well as household items, flowers, and more. Lindsay, a Trump supporter, says in a tough economy, every little bit helps.
If I lost 25% of SNAP, for me, it would mean cutting 10 to 15 hours a week or roughly 40 hours a month off payroll.
So your employees would be impacted?
Yeah, it would impact employees. That's a pretty good chunk to lose. There's not much gravy in this operation. I mean, if we make less money, something has to be cut.
Conservatives often point out that SNAP expanded considerably under Presidents George W. Bush and Barack Obama, and they are correct. The rise was particularly acute during the recession of 2008, when millions lost work and joined SNAP's rolls. Benefits were also increased as part of the Stimulus Act, the 2009 law that pumped billions in federal spending into communities across the country. Yet since late 2012, both spending and the number of people on SNAP have fallen. And the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimates that if no changes were made, the share of the population on SNAP would return to pre-recession levels by 2027. Still, SNAP remains historically high as more working families like the Williams and seniors like 63-year-old James Jackson earn less, thus qualifying for the benefit.
Anybody, anyone at any time can be affected by poverty.
Nearly 25% of all seniors in Arkansas face the threat of hunger. That leads the nation, according to a recent report. Jackson, a trained chef and a professional painter, has struggled to find work since his truck broke down. He now lives in subsidized housing in Little Rock and receives $172 a month in food stamps. He voted for President Trump, but urges him not to make these cuts.
Give me a chance to get off the very program that you're trying to cut. I want to get off. But if you take away my ability to get off, what can I do?
In the long run, it's more economic opportunities rather than government assistance that Congressman Westerman says will best help the people of his state.
It's a shame that we have to have a program that large in this country. We need to provide more opportunities for people that are good paying jobs, and not just jobs, but careers where they can build homes and communities.
Back in Thornton, after the rush has passed, Joni Casey listens to the desperate plea of a woman who couldn't get there today.
I am a grandmother of 4. I live alone. Please, please help me.
It's the people that don't come in. It's the people that live 30 miles outside of this little food bank and that I don't know about or that I can't reach. It's those people that keep me awake at night, those children that I know that are out of school that aren't getting a breakfast and a lunch.
Some hungry families may not be able to get to her, but Miss Casey spends the rest of her day making home deliveries. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Kat Wise in Thornton, Arkansas.